Hey there, Kristen here. Thanks so much for joining us for another Give Me 20 episode. This is number 5 in the series. And if this is the first one that you're watching, this is what it's all about. I'm interested in getting to know people in terms of who they are and how they show up. It's so much more than just what we do. And so I'm inviting local Edmonton business owners to sit down with me for 20 minutes and answer 4 of my favorite questions. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm really hopeful that we're going to make some more meaningful connections in our community and continue to support small businesses right here at home. So that's what it's all about. And I'm super excited today about my guest because not only have I gotten to know her on a professional front and I've actually seen her work in action, but I've really gotten to know her on a personal level too. And she is just one of those human beings that draws you in, makes you feel safe, makes you want to start a conversation, and you know she's going to change the world. And so for me, that's a huge inspiration. So I'm thrilled that she agreed to do this with me today. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about her now. So you're going to be meeting Jocelyn Davison. She is the founder of The Virtual Effect, which is an event planning company in the Edmonton area. She curates connection and impact through meaningful events. Through her work with her clients, she creates event experiences that weave seamlessly into their brand and client connections. So there's themes here: community, connection, conversation, it's all in there. Jocelyn runs her own series of events as well called Elevate. And this is where she creates opportunities for real connection and education on significant world issues through her impact events. Her heart lays in giving back to the community, so true, and she does in many ways. Also working with people who are making an impact and creating real relationships. So authentic through and through, and one of the many reasons I love her. So without further ado, welcome Jocelyn.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Kristen, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. Your words mean so much to me, and I think the world of you too, so it's mutual.
Awesome. Well, then we're just both really lucky that our paths have crossed, and I count it as one of my many blessings. So now we get to show you off to the rest of the world, and they get to see at least 20 minutes of your thoughts and your reflections on these 4 questions. So if you're ready, should we just dive in?
We should. Let's do it.
Okay. So first question seems simple enough, but it's kind of a big one, especially for you. How do you help others?
Oh, I try to show up and help in really any way that I can. One of my biggest pieces, I guess, if I can call it that, is I want to create safe spaces for people to come together. And within those spaces, there's the opportunity for growth. There's the opportunity for connection. There's this opportunity for us to develop as better human beings, really. And if I can, whether it's through, personal or through my own events or through client events, if I can, create that atmosphere that is inviting and warm and safe for people to really get to know one another beyond that surface level and to feel safe to ask questions and educate themselves on different issues, then that's what fills my heart. That's how I feel I can show up in this world and really make a difference.
Oh, and it's true. You get to do it with really both arms of what you do in terms of the event planning and coordination side. And, when we talk about meaningful events, I mean, these are truly heart-centered events. These are groups with a really compelling purpose or a really compelling story, or a corporate event that's meant to move hearts and motivate, and right. So like this is going deep with those events. And then of course with Elevate, you're bringing some difficult topics to the table and helping us work through it in a safe way.
Yes. And I think it's one of those things that, as I was saying to you earlier, I sometimes step back and, often I step back and reflect on these businesses and organizations and people that I get to work with. And I say this with all sincerity in my heart, like I don't know how I got so lucky. And the work that people are doing within our community, it is honestly, it's endless, the amount of incredible people and exceptional work that's being done. And the fact that I get to be a part of it, even for just like a brief moment in their time, it is such a blessing to me. And I learn so much. And I don't have a moment that I take what I do for granted, because I really do feel so fortunate.
Wow. Well, you are definitely creating ripples. And, it starts with helping one. That's certainly a philosophy that I live by. It starts with helping one. And sometimes we see the ripples, sometimes we don't get to know about the ripples, but I certainly know you're creating ripples in every direction with what you're doing. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Question number 2.
Okay.
All right. So you
and
can.
the dogs, sorry.
Okay, this is life. This is life. My cats might chime in too, so it's all good. So question number 2 is, what has been your greatest life lesson so far?
Okay. I honestly, I feel, can I cheat a little bit and share 2? Because I feel like there's been 2 that have really had a significant impact on me, and have kind of changed the way that I approach things. And the one, and it's maybe a little cliche, but sharing what's on your heart and telling the people in your world what they mean to you when they're here. Because there is nothing worse than when somebody leaves our life, whether that be through death or just changes in relationships or whatever that might look like. And when there's things that have been left unsaid, it's something that you often can't change, and it weighs pretty heavy on you. And so I learned at a young age the importance of really sharing what's on your heart and being open and honest. And sometimes that can feel scary, especially I'm a pretty emotional person, and I tend to speak my heart, and sometimes it's a little gushy sounding, but I need to put that out there. And I don't think that there's a person that would ever be upset hearing how much they mean to you. So that would be one for me. And then the second one is honestly finding the thing in this world that lights your soul on fire, and following it and figuring out how to make that a part of your world in some way. I learned from experience how much living out of alignment with our values can impact us mentally, physically, emotionally, how it impacts our relationships. And the moment that you figure out what that purpose is and you start walking in it, I have no words but to say it's magic, and it is the most fulfilling way to walk through life. And we don't just have to wake up and dread going into a job or dread entering the day of our life. Like, we can really build something special.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm right there with you on both fronts. And I'm glad that you shared both, because those are incredible life lessons. And my hope is that by sharing these life lessons, if someone hasn't experienced a similar situation, then maybe they're better prepared when it does come along. And the loss of someone you love is unfortunately inevitable for us all. And it's a very personal experience, but you're so right to just speak what's on our heart and tell people how we feel. It is a gift. It's a gift for them. It's a gift for ourselves in so many ways. And, in terms of pursuing what lights your soul on fire, I call it following your joy. And you use the word alignment, and that's exactly what it is. And I truly believe that if we're able to get in alignment with what that purpose is for us, it's a charmed life. Things just come easier and things fall into place. So I couldn't agree more. So true. Awesome. Okay. Are you ready for number 3? So I think you and I probably talked about this, but I truly believe that there is so much power in hope. And especially during the tough times, and we need to fill up that hope bucket whenever we possibly can. So I'd love to hear from you. What are 2 things that you're hopeful for in the future?
I love this question. And honestly, this was like one of the many pieces of gold that you have given me, Kristen. But when you said, like, shifting that perspective to what is possible versus like, oh, what are my options? There's so much power in that. So in terms of what I am hopeful for in the future, I would say one would definitely be, I feel that people are in this space of awareness and wanting to just show up as better humans in a lot of different capacities. And I feel that we have enough motivated and inspired individuals that can start to create these changes. And also that as we're bringing up the next generation, that we can really plant this and lead by example so that they're hitting the ground running sooner than we did. So I really am hopeful that change in a lot of areas is possible, and that we have the right people that are running with it. And I would say the other thing, and it's one that I've kind of been reflecting on most recently, and in light of COVID, is I think that we all have a whole new appreciation for human connection. And I feel that prior to the world falling apart with this, you know, we were all so wrapped up in life and in being busy and in doing that we were just not taking those moments to appreciate what it feels like to have these conversations and connections with people when it's real and it's true. And with that being taken away from us, I think that as we start to come back into a new normal, we're going to respect and appreciate and value this connection with one another so much more than ever before, because we know the value and impact that it has on us on a daily basis.
Yeah, it is so true. I think there's potential. And so often that is the case when we face adversity. You know, there's the resiliency bounce, right? So as we draw back, when we hit adversity, there's all this potential, this action potential that is generating for bouncing higher the next time. And I'm right there with you that, you know, we're seeing just the tip of the iceberg of what's possible for making change. And if we set the example and mentor the up and coming generations into creating more ripples beyond us, right? Like, wow, what could be achieved? And then in terms of COVID, you're right, connection. We have had to get so creative in manifesting genuine connection, haven't we? And and I mean, it's only been a few months, but if you think about where we were even 2-3 months ago, and the struggle and the adjustment, and it just seemed so catastrophic, and yet now already we're like, oh yeah, that's old hat. Like, we know how to do this. We can make it work. We can adjust the plan, and we appreciate each other so much more, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I hope that sticks.
Yes, me too. I think it will. I think it will. I think it's had a big enough, you know, dent in our worlds that it's not something we'll soon forget.
No, it's very true. And I think, you know, in terms of small businesses and even smaller charities, right? I think we both walk in those two worlds, that it's especially important. Without that connection as a small business owner and as a small charity, it's extra tough. And yeah, absolutely.
So true.
Okay, well, I'm with you there. And then our last question number 4.
Yes.
I joke that it's truly a selfish question, because behind me is my wall of wisdom, where I love my wall of wisdom, where I truly, if I'm struggling with a problem and I'm not really sure what to do, or I'm feeling a bit torn, I will come into my office, look at my wall of wisdom, where I have quotes from some of my favorite authors and thought leaders. And I'm like, okay, what would I do? And so I want to add to my wall of wisdom with all of the incredible quotes that other people cherish. And so I would love to know what your favorite quote is and why.
Okay. Well, I am a quote junkie. I love quotes. And when you shared about your wall of wisdom, I just thought it was such a brilliant idea, and it's on my to-do list. So my favorite quote is, so It's a little longer, and I'm putting a kind of a personal spin on it just to change some language that I feel is more inclusive and appropriate. But it's the man in the arena. So it's not the critic who counts, not the person who points out how the strong folks stumble or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm and great devotions, who spends themselves in a worthy cause, who at the best know in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if they fail, at least fail while daring greatly. I love that quote. The first time I read it was in Brene Brown's book, Daring Greatly. And why I love that so much is it is a reminder to me to have grace with myself and grace with others, and to really know that the people that are showing up, that are doing the hard work, that are trying, that are making a difference, trying to make a difference, trying to educate, but they're showing up and they're in the battle, that's what all that we can ask, is that we all continue to show up and we all continue to do that work. And for those that aren't alongside us, we don't need their opinion, and we can't put as much weight in it as sometimes we do. So that's why I love that one so much.
Oh, it's like, it totally hits me. I've heard it before, actually, or I've read it. And I'm reminded again, just hearing it in your voice. It's funny, right? When I hear someone else speak it, it's like, wow, it just seems so much more profound than when I first read it. But yeah, I truly believe in that whole idea of giving each other and ourselves enough grace. And showing up is the hard part. It really is, especially when you got knocked down, or if you have people trying to pull you back so they can either, get on top of you to get higher, or to bring you down with where they are. And maybe it's something that I'm realizing as I get older, but I don't have time for that. Right? We are on a clock, and I don't have time for that. But I have all the time in the world for people that want to show up and try.
100%. And that's where we want to spend our energies. And that's where we get like this reciprocal, when I have a conversation with you and I see how you show up, like it gives me so much more back and gives me so much inspiration and hope. And like, that's what we need to be putting our focus on, not the things that are draining us and pulling us down.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. I absolutely love it. Oh, okay. So that's a high note in terms of inspiration. I love it. So we've gone through all 4. Are you ready for our random wheel of wisdom?
Yes, I'm excited.
Okay, here we go. We're going to bring it up.
Okay.
There we go. Can you see the wheel?
I can, yes.
Perfect. Yes, I love it when it works. Okay, so here we have a wheel of somewhat random words that I've pulled together, and they kind of border between business terms and self-help. So who knows where it's going to land, but we'll do something random, and you just speak from your heart, whatever comes to mind when we get to your word. And I think it's fascinating to see what people actually say. So we'll give it a spin. And where are we going to land? Oh. Alive.
I love that.
So we kind of talked about this, didn't we?
We did, but it's a topic that is it's at my heart for sure. And I think what I would say in regards to alignment is figure out what matters to you. Figure out what your values are. And I think take the pressure off of yourself that it doesn't need to be this huge, massive, in the spotlight, crazy undertaking, but but it's something that you feel in your heart and at your core. And that whether it's a hobby or a pastime or your career or whatever that is, infuse that into your life in any way that you can. And it really, like those trickles and waves and ripples, like you said, they extend and will touch every area of your life and every relationship. And you know when you're in alignment, because like it does everything. It just feels right. And it's not hard. It just makes sense. And I just encourage everyone to take those moments of reflection and be honest with yourself and show up for you. And that's really all that you need to do. And by showing up for yourself, that's going to be an example to everyone else in your life.
Oh, it's such a strong reality for me too with the alignment. It's easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even dumbed it down into, does your inside match your outside?
Yes.
Right? So are you actually doing what you're passionate about on the inside? Are you stifling
Mm-hmm.
that fire that if applied to something else could totally take off, right? And that alignment just makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, and it's so true. And it's so easy to get caught up in those societal pressures of what we should be doing. And yeah, when those pressures of what we should be doing aren't what ignite us,
Yeah.
no amount of money is going to make that the right situation for you. I know that.
Yeah. Oh, well, clearly you have found that alignment. I can see the joy in your face. I've seen it with the events that you've coordinated. I've also seen it in the Elevate sessions. So you are a beautiful, shining example of what alignment means. And I think an inspiration to others, especially other women and I talk to a lot of them. It's a big part of what I do. People struggling with a career change and not sure what to do or building up the courage to make the leap. But you are that example of someone who's done it and did a complete random shift. It was, you didn't set out in life knowing that this is what you were going to do, but you discovered the passion and then you took the steps to make it come to life. And that's truly inspirational to all of us. So thank you for being that.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much, Kristen. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's it for our questions. But if anyone wants to reach out to you, whether it be around your event planning that you do or with the Elevate events and some of the really important topics that you bring to the table, how do we reach you?
Best ways, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at The Virtual Effect or at Elevate by TVE, and also my website, which is thevirtualeffect.com.
Awesome. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, on your website, you have events for Elevate on there too, with links to get your tickets. And it's monthly, is it, that you're trying to have events?
Yes, so I do monthly Elevate events and I do multiple times a year impact events, and I have one that I'll be announcing soon as well. So hopefully everything comes along.
Well, you are the right person to make it work. So I have total faith in you on that one. So we'll make sure everybody has all your contact details for sure. And I encourage you folks to reach out to Jocelyn. I'm sure she would love to hear from you as well. She's clearly very approachable and is helpful in so many ways, if nothing else, just to give you a bit of spark of inspiration to get you going for the day. And so that wraps up our final questions and our 5th episode. So they are going quickly. If you think you would love to do something like this with me, if you can give me 20, please reach out. I would love to speak to you as well and help make more connections out there. But for now, we'll sign off and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.